Welcome to Random Thoughts Podcast, a show that discusses a variety of topics. I'm your host, David Polikoff. Hello, and welcome to my third installment of Random Thoughts Podcast. To all the people that have downloaded and listened to it, I appreciate it. And again, this is just a podcast that just kind of things that cross my mind that I want to know a little bit about. And I feel that if I want to know a little bit about it, I can't be the only one in the world. So, and again, this kind of deviates from what the other stuff that I do with the fire department. It really has nothing to do with the fire department, although the people that I talk to in some way or another have a connection to the fire department. So today we're going to talk to a good friend of mine that I've known for almost 11 years, Tracy who cuts hair, but she does a lot more than that. And she used to be in a shop that literally was directly across the street from our firehouse. When I say directly across the street, I mean something of a road that was probably about 20 feet wide. And she spent a lot of time coming over to our firehouse and eating dinner with us as we would go over there. And in between her breaks, she would cut the guys' hairs free of charge, which was actually pretty cool. And to be able to have our hair cut by somebody that's, when I say a true professional, that has actually had professional people in her chair cutting their hair is pretty neat. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But Tracy, welcome to my Random Thoughts podcast. And before we start getting into all this, give me a little bit of history about yourself. Tell everybody who you are and the little bit of history behind how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised Honolulu, Hawaii, which is the best place in the world, in my opinion. And then when I was 14, I moved out here to Maryland. And since then, I've lived in LA for a few years and back here in Maryland now. I got started, actually, my mom took me to a trade show, and of course I hated it because I was a little kid in Hawaii, right? And you have no patience for any type of professional stuff there. But I heard this guy on this loudspeaker talking, so of course, being curious, I ran over there, and it's a guy cutting hair on stage. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, kind of like Wayne's World when he saw that white guitar. Right. That's right. Kind of the moment I had. So, of course, me being me, I just go up and cut through everybody and go to the front of the stage as the guy's on stage. And I go, hey. And he looks at me. I go, can you cut my hair next? He was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I stared him down until he finished. Then I crawled up on the stage, and he cut my hair, and I had, like, a bob. And it was, I don't remember. It was right before 6th grade, so God only knows when that was.
You had to be probably about 11 years old.
Yeah, so he takes my haircut from a bob and gives me a short haircut because that's when, that came in. It was kind of the Pat Benatar, right?
We won't talk about how old we are.
Yeah, no. There's no need for that. So he hands me a mirror, and I was just like, but I loved the experience. So my mom saved up her money. She would take me to this guy's salon. It was a Paul Mitchell salon, and I'll never forget the smell of the watermelon hairspray and the coconut mousse, and I loved everything about it. So he would cut my hair, and then I was a model in a magazine or a hair book when I was a little kid. I wish I knew where that was. I'd love to see. Right. Because I was such a dork.
Yeah, you changed from then to now.
Yeah. It was like a bad baby Madonna, too. But so that's how I got into it. I just loved everything about it. And I can't remember that guy's name either, and I wish I could because I'd love to find him and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you inspired my career, and because of you, I've had a phenomenal life doing what I do. So
would you say that from that age, at maybe age 11, 12-ish, was when you said, this is what I want to do when I grow up?
Yep.
And not unlike firefighters who they get this calling at a young age. It's like, they see the fire engine. All kids love fire engines. Right. But there's those few that look at it and say, that's what I want to do. And I was the same way. By 7th grade, I knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. But as you know, as firefighters, we never grow up.
Yeah.
And neither did you.
No, definitely not.
But it's kind of cool that you went to this trade show and you saw something and it was just like, the light and the whole type of moment, and you got your hair cut. Now, why was your mom at the trade show? Does she cut hair?
No, she was. I think she was like into secretarial work, and I guess she must not have liked her job and wanted to go see what else was out there. I never asked. I was self-absorbed in my moment.
And I did meet your mom. We'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
So you get your start. You look at this moment. When you're in Hawaii or 11 years old. And a lot of kids, like I have 2 kids, and neither one of them know what the hell they want to do when they grow up. But you and I, from the age of like 12-ish, we was like, that's what I'm going to do, and that's what we did.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool because when you find something that you love, what's the old saying? If you find something you love, you never work a day of your life or whatever.
Right.
And I don't think you approach this as work because you have a good time when you come to work. I've walked into your salon several times, and I know that you have a good time when you work. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
So let's fast forward. So where was your first job? Was it like a hair cuttery or something like that, or?
So my first job was...
Well, actually, let's start before that. You had to go to school. Obviously, you have to get a license in order to do that. So did you just start cutting hair on your Barbie dolls, on your friends?
Yeah.
Or, so
my own
walk
bangs.
Through it.
Oof. I gave my... Oof. Man, my poor mom had to give me the old man comb over for my 3rd grade picture because I cut a bald spot in the top of my head trying to trim my bangs evenly.
Right. Okay.
You make that mistake once.
Right. Did she ever have to do the bowl cut to fix whatever you did?
She would cut my hair before... I guess it was before that trade show. She cut my hair all the time, and she's the one who gave me the bob. And I'll never forget the first time she sat in my chair as a professional, and I looked at her and I go, remember all those bad haircuts you gave me?
My turn!
I go, my turn, paybacks. And she frantically, panically goes, I did the best I could! I did the best I could! Which, of course, made me crack up laughing. I was like, just kidding.
Of course you're going to give your mom a good haircut.
Of course I will.
So where was your first job?
So my first job, I was 15. I had been in a lot of trouble. Do we want to go down that route?
It's up to you.
So I got arrested for Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
When I was 15.
Okay.
And I had stole a bunch of cars, but that's just because people left the keys in. I mean, it was a different time then, And I always returned them.
And this was in Maryland?
This is in Maryland,
okay.
Yeah.
Where we are now, by the way.
Yes. So I stole this one car, and I got pulled over, and I didn't know what to do. I was 15, like 2 weeks into it. And I didn't have my lights on because, I don't know how to drive.
Right.
So, I mean, I was a good driver, but I just didn't know the rules and everything else, like, lights and all that stuff.
Don't steal a
car. The
car.
necessities, don't steal cars. And so as soon as the cop got to my window, I just hit the pedal to the metal, and I was out of there. This happened at Veers Mill in 355.
Okay, in Rockville.
Yeah. So then there's all these cop cars behind me, and I'm jamming to Def Leppard. That tape was in the car.
Right.
So I see too many cops coming towards me and behind me, so I saw a road to my right, so I just cranked the wheel, and of course it's the dump, and what do? I smash right into the wall. So I get out, all the guns are drawn and everything. Love Bites is on the radio, and I just start laughing. I go, relax, guys. So that took me on a path of realizing that there are consequences to your actions, and I thought, you know what, maybe it's time to not be such an ass.
Right.
So that actually did the best thing in the entire world for me, because I got locked up for a month and a half, and I realized, hey, this isn't really what I like. I don't like to be told what to do and all this time schedule stuff. As you know, I don't like authority. So
you don't like mornings either. But.
I don't like mornings either, no. So that made me... that put me on a different path. And when I went to court, the judge said, do you want to go to school? Because if you don't, you better get a job. So I said, well, I'm going to get a job. So there was a hair pair, is what it was called, in Congressional Plaza. And I had lived right there. So I walked over, and I walked in, and I asked the lady, I said, hi, I want to be a hairdresser one day. I don't know anything about it, but if you let me work here, I'll do anything. I'll sweep the floors, I'll scrub the toilets. I don't care. I just want to work here. And she said, let me think about it, come back tomorrow. I came back the next day. She said, okay, I decided you can work here. And that's kind of when I started in salons. So I was a shampoo girl for several years. I ended up at a place called Hair That Rocks. And that was the beginning of the super fun rock star life.
Right.
I worked with him for years, and then when I was 19, I went to hair school. So that took about 9 months, and for this degenerate that I have always been, I got A's across the board, so it was kind of a proud moment.
Something you like.
It just proves that you really do apply yourself to what you love. So so that's when I became a hairdresser, was at 20 years old. And did I deviate from the question?
No.
I don't even remember what the question
was. The whole question was, where did you get your first job and how did you get started?
So hair repair. That was my first job.
And that lady took a gamble.
She took a chance, yeah. So Shanaz was her name.
Shanaz? Does she still work? You know?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I totally lost track of her. I have no idea where she is.
Well, Shanaz, if you're listening, Tracy thanks you.
Yeah, yeah. Another person.
Absolutely.
All you need is one person to believe in you.
I agree.
That's it.
And the cool thing is that she took a chance on you. And obviously, when you start at a hair salon, it's like anything else. You start at the bottom, and you got to work. You do the crap jobs, and you're sweeping the hair up. And being a shampoo girl, I mean, everybody likes to get their hair shampooed. I take my son to his. It's a guy's. Well, we don't call them salons, but a place where he gets his hair cut. But it's all women, and
it's a gentleman's.
It's a gentleman's club. Not a gentleman's club, but he gets his hair cut. I get my hair cut there too, and he likes getting the shampoo done. And
heck yeah,
yeah, that's probably the best thing.
It is.
So, but that's kind of cool that you started off as like, hey, you know what, your aha moment was, maybe I don't want to go to jail, stay in jail.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to apply myself somewhere else. So, at least you found out when you were a minor as opposed to being 18 years old. It could have been a lot different.
Oh, yeah.
So, but...
small blessings.
So, fast forward, you worked in Hair That Rocks. How long did you work there?
I worked there for probably at least 5 years.
Okay. So, and you build your clientele up. How hard is it to build the clientele up? I mean, I know when you first start off, it's like, hey, the drop-ins or whatever, and, hey, Tracy's free. She can go cut your hair. And obviously, you have to come up with the chit-chat. I always find that got to be the hardest thing, is to come up with chit-chat to people, and reading them is like, does this person want to talk? Do they not want to talk? How did you build up your clientele so when you move from salon to salon, they go with you?
Yeah. So, one, you obviously have to be talented. Mm-hmm. And I had quite the ego where I decided that if I was going to do this, I was going to be really, really good. So I put the time in, I went to the hair shows. I saved up money. I did one-on-one classes with the best hairdressers that I had heard of and stuff like that. So quality really helps you retain a clientele, but you do have to connect with people. For me, it's not hard to talk. Mm-hmm. I probably talk in my sleep. Who knows? But I'm comfortable. I think if you're comfortable in your own skin, then conversation isn't awkward for people. So you eventually learn how to read people's body language, mm-hmm. and you can tell, like, oh, okay, you're in a stinky mood today. Let's make you laugh,
right.
And enjoy yourself, because everybody feels better when they look better.
Sure.
It's just a fact. So I think connecting with people, talking to them and having something in common, or even if not, respecting the differences and trying to learn from them, So for me, it's not hard to connect with people.
And how long did it take to start getting the clientele built up where people were actually coming in and specifically asking for you?
Not long,
That's
actually. Good. Not long. But it's a hard road for a lot of people because they don't, they lack confidence, and, I've always been pretty confident.
And it's not a job for an introvert. You actually have to be able to be kind of like an extrovert to be able to, like you said, connect with people and just talk to complete strangers.
Yeah.
Now, are there any customers, any clientele that you had when you first started that still come to you?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have quite a few that have stuck with me throughout all these years. I have one client that was my former boss at Hair That Rocks, his client. And when I went to hair school, she came over there, and she's never left me. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a lot that have been with me since the early days, which is great because loyalty to me is everything. It's respectable.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. So that's pretty awesome.
And I know that every time I call when you were working at your other place, I would try to come by and visit, and I was like, "Well, do you work today?" Nope, I only work this day and this day, kind of like what my schedule is, but it's opposite. So I know that your time is important to you.
Yes.
So you've been doing this for, let's say,
25 years.
Yeah, almost 25 years. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the downsides to the business?
There's not many, but the downsides are the downsides. Like, you don't get benefits. Mm-hmm. So you pay for your own health insurance, which right now is very expensive. Yeah, so that kind of gets in the way of a lot of things. You don't have, like, a plan for retirement, and that gets scary as you get older because
you gotta put your own money away into something.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing when it comes to that is we get paid on commission only, so you never have a steady paycheck. Right. And there's slower months, like the summer slows down a little bit, and then January, mid-February is pretty slow because everybody gets their hair done for the holidays. So you really have to learn how to be responsible with your money, which is a hard thing to learn.
Sure.
They definitely need to teach that in school.
And that's something that would be a decent suggestion. I know, I'm going to deviate a little bit, but I know I recently went to a Votech school with my daughter. It was part of a field trip with their school, and she put in that there was 3 things that she could go look at, and it was like videography and photography. There was something else I couldn't remember, and the other one was cosmetology, and I'm kind of looking at it, I'm like, really? And but we sat in on that, and that was the only Votech class that you actually had to front money for. It was like $500 because you had to pay for your book and all your stuff in order to take that Votech class. So I know it's not cheap.
No.
So if that, there's a lot of things that probably in business that, kind of you go to school and they go, well, they never told me that. So those are probably some things that if anybody's listening to this, hey, if any teachers are out there that teach cosmetology or go to that, you need to throw some of that stuff out there. Let them know that there's ups and downs. Same thing with the fire department. We don't just tell you the great stuff, but there's bad stuff too.
Sure.
So obviously you got to plan for your own retirement because, so you either have to have a 401k or your IRA or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
with an inconsistent paycheck.
Right. So you can only put a certain amount in.
So that's difficult. And
right.
you always, there's only so many years you can go without back pain, and then all of a sudden your lower back, it takes a toll on your body. I have scoliosis, and the chiropractor said that it was from the way that I stand when I do hair. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, people don't realize that it's really hard on our bodies, and that part is the real downside. Also, another thing that, drives every hairdresser crazy is that people constantly want you to do their hair for less than what you charge, not realizing how much money you've spent to get good at what you do and how much our tools cost us. Like shears, scissors, can cost up to $3,000, $5,000. Like, our supplies are not cheap.
Right.
And it costs us a lot of money, kind of like teachers, where a lot of times they have to spend their own money. Same kind of thing. So it's a lot of times you feel a lack of respect from people. They just think, oh yeah, you're just, you're the help kind of thing. So that part sucks. But for the most part, people really appreciate that you make them look better and you make them feel better and stuff like that. But those are the downsides. And
I know that, you charge it. My wife and I have this conversation all the time. So I can go in and get my hair cut and it's $25. Mm-hmm. My wife goes and gets her hair cut and it's like $80.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what in the absolute hell is going on here? It's hair. But I know that, if you want a good hair, if you want your hair cut, you can go to, these hair places, and I'm not going to throw out names, but where people are just starting to their first job or whatever, and you can get borderline mediocre haircut, and if you're happy with it, that's all you. And you pay not a lot, but if you want something that's good, you got to pay for the talent.
Yeah, the quality.
It is almost like an art, and anybody that knows that has had their mom cut their hair with the same scissors they used to cut the poop out of the dog fur, on your hair, to quote a comedian, you pay for the quality. And I know when I get my hair cut, I actually watch all the things that the lady that cuts my hair, and there's all different kinds of scissors and shears and all that, and that's stuff that they own.
Yeah. We have to buy it ourselves.
And you got to keep it maintained. Obviously, you can't have dirty scissors, and I know, or dull scissors.
Yeah, you got to get them sharpened.
Yeah, so you're paying for all that yourself. Mm-hmm. So there are downsides. So you people that are out there that it's like, well, you charge, $100 for a good haircut. Well, you're paying for all the time and effort that these people have put into their talent and give you the best haircut. When you walk away and go, wow, that's a pretty damn good haircut. It's kind of like a $5 shake.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also, people also, they give you a little bit of shit when you raise your prices. Mm-hmm. But that is the only way that we get a raise. And when I ask people, well, would you ever work at a job that you didn't get a raise? And they say, no, of course not. I'm like, well, this is how I get my raise.
Right.
So,
So people out there understand that she's getting paid on commission. She's not getting a salary. If she was getting a salary, then everybody would try to be a hairdresser. And
wouldn't be so hard.
Exactly. Well, you run into the problem where if everybody's a hairdresser, not everybody's good. Mm-hmm. So, the people that own the businesses that hire the people that do, and I don't know if the hairdresser is the right word, but that hire the people that cut hair and do the coloring and all that stuff, they try to hire the best because this is their business. And if you hire crap, you're not going to be in business for very long.
No.
So, not to harp on the downsides, but what are the upsides? And I know there's a lot of upsides to the business.
The upsides are you get to interact with people, so it really helps you have a wider perspective. And you learn a lot about people, and you realize that, you become compassionate and empathetic. When I started, I was cold as ice, and I didn't have a heart for anything. And now, your client cries about something, you cry with them. And for me, one of the things that really bothers me the most is when somebody doesn't like the way that they look and they feel insecure, or people have made fun of them for a certain thing and they take it to heart and it kind of destroys a little piece of them. That bothers me to no end. So I try and build the confidence back up.
Right.
And make them feel good about themselves and realize that you don't need anybody else's validation ever in this world. So that's also how you connect with people. You get really into the deep stuff. People love to tell me things that I have no business knowing.
That's exactly where I was getting ready to go with the next question is, when you start talking to somebody and you make them feel at ease, and then all of a sudden they start telling you all kinds of stuff, my mother-in-law's a bitch, and whatever. You start hearing stuff, it's like TMI.
Yeah.
But you don't want to cut them off, because you're making that connection, or they feel the fact that they feel comfortable enough to tell you stuff and saying, maybe I shouldn't know this about you, but have at it, bro.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they tell me things that they should not be doing, and I say, you know what, that's really uncool. Right. So check your ego.
Sure. Well, you've always been good at calling bullshit on people.
Yeah.
You're good at that.
I am a queen of calling someone out.
So what else? I know that you get to connect with people. What else? I mean, I know for the company, I know when you work for people, your bosses, some bosses can be asshats and some actually can be good. Yeah. So what are some of the good things, the upsides of some of the bosses and the people and things like that, your coworkers and things like that?
Well, right now, my current salon, my boss is the best because, we're the same age and we have a lot of similarities. Like when I first came to interview with her, she said, I'm closing the salon early today because I'm going to a Slayer concert. I said, oh yeah, you are my type of chick. Right. And she just pranks me all the time. She just pranks me. I'm like outright funny and she's stealth funny. Right. Like I'll just get in your face and clown you and we'll all laugh and stuff. But she's behind the scenes. Like she left me a note saying that I needed to return a call for a men's haircut. and I was busy all day, and I never got around to it. And then finally, at the end of the day, I said, okay, I have a minute. She's like, call him back and answer his questions. So I didn't pay much attention because I didn't know that she was about to make a complete ass of me. So I call, and it turns out, I don't know, I gave this person a fancy last name, even though it wasn't. I thought I was returning a phone call for Mr. Paul Barrer, but it was Paul Bearer to a funeral home. And I look up, and she is giggling like a 2-year-old, and I thought, oh, you mother. So I hang up. I said, okay, I see. You want, it's on now.
So you knew it was a good fit at that point.
I knew it was a good fit. And then a couple days later, I opened my drawer to get my comb out, and there was a fake rubber cockroach in there. And I was like, oh, because I'm not afraid of bugs.
Right.
So. But yeah, she pranks me all day long.
That's
all day,
good.
every day. It's pretty funny.
So, and the coworkers that you work with now, pretty good?
Oh, they're the best.
That's good.
They really are. It's, this is a tight family, and it was a quick, tight family.
Right.
But it's built on, we all respect each other, and we all like each other's differences and support.
Right.
And we all have the same kind of vision to be very successful.
Now, do you guys hang out afterwards? Like when you get off, you go to get something to eat or whatever?
Yeah, so the boss just decided, she said, I'm going to make an executive decision. We're going to work up till the 3rd of July, and as the 4th, we're shutting down the salon, and we're all going to the beach. So we went to the beach all together.
And I saw those pictures.
Yeah.
I did see those pictures. Well, that's kind of cool that you have a boss that, well, first of all, that she owns her own business, and that she approaches it as that you guys are her, not only her coworkers, but it sounds like she would treat you as an equal. As in, like, you know what, you're my family, and without you working well, I don't have money coming in to pay the bills. So, kind of coming off of that a little bit, have you ever thought about opening your own store? You're like, you know what, I just don't like the business end of that crap. I'd rather just be an employee. Or have you ever thought about?
Yeah, when I was younger, I said by the time I'm 20, I'm going to own my own salon. And then you started to realize all the stuff that it takes to own a salon, right? And dealing with hairdressers can be difficult because there's a lot of, some of them are competitive. Oh, the egos are off the charts with some of them, not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no egos here. We all know we're good. There's no need for that,
right.
But there's a lot of drama, and hairdressers are we have a reputation for being crazy, even though we're not.
Right.
Well, some people are, but
right.
That's in any profession. But anyway, I forgot the question.
About opening your own salon. Have you ever thought about
opening my own salon? Yeah. So now, after dealing with people, and you see all the ups and downs, and the personalities, and the moodiness, and the egos, and all this stuff, and I thought, Jesus Christ, no! Like I'd fire everyone.
Right.
So I decided that I just like the employee side of it, because also, when you're an owner, it's always on your mind. Me, I walk out of the salon, I forget I have a job, and
right.
I go act like an idiot for, my days off, and then I come back and get myself together and back to work.
Right.
And so there's a freedom to it that I like. I don't like the whole feeling of being tied down and, here you are,
right.
and this is all you're going to be. That causes severe panic.
Right. I know, with my wife, she's a hospice nurse. And I know that she's really good at the patient care aspect and the family care, being a hospice with it's a whole thing. And she's got a lot of great ideas in order to make the business side work really well. I mean, and it is a business, not that she would own it. It's part of the hospital. And I tell her, I said, well, why don't you go and do management stuff? She goes, I like patient care. I like the bedside stuff. And once you're a manager, you don't really do that patient care. So it probably would be the same as an owner, is that you would still cut hair, but on more of a limited basis as opposed to doing what you're doing. So then you don't get to connect with the people, or, like in the trenches or whatever of having your clients or whatever. You would have to more business and less, of the hair thing. And is that kind of what way you look at it as well? Is that you don't get to do what your passion was?
There's that, and then it's also like, you your free time gets taken away. And I am
all about
big.
free time.
I am all about free time because you need it.
Right.
When you deal with people all day, every day, as you know, it can be mentally exhausting. So you have to take that time to like regroup and, relax and shake off the energy of other people.
I always say that the job wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for all the people.
Amen.
But and that's with the difference between management, owning your own business versus being able to work for somebody and then have the freedom the moment you walk out the door is like, I'm off.
Yep.
And
Bye.
not having to balance the books and deal with accountants and money and paying people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So let's move forward a little bit. And I know, because I've known you for a long time, you've got an ass ton of funny stories. So I know you had the one story where calling Paul Beret. What's some of the other funny stories that you had and things that stick out in your mind, things that you've done and then with clients and just in general in life?
Well, as you know, I'm very funny, and I'm all
hilarious.
I'm all about the practical jokes.
Right.
But I think more than like totally just messing with somebody on that type of level, like she got me, I like to scare the shit out of people.
Right.
I will hide in the crevices of things and jump out. And she said that that's why she started doing that to me, was because, here I come sneaking up behind you. You don't even hear me coming, and then I death metal scream right in your face and scare the shit out of you.
Not while she's got scissors in her hand cutting someone's...
No, not that. But any other chance that I got, like I hide outside of the bathroom. They open the door thinking that they're safe, and I'm like, and they're like, oh, good thing I just went. I'm sneaky like that.
Right.
I like to come, like I'll hide on the floor and like grab your ankle and just,
right,
stupid shit like that.
Now, I want to go into your personal life. You've got, I know you have pets because I see them all the time on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. You don't do Twitter. I'm going to have to get you on Twitter. I do Twitter a lot.
I kind of feel like that should be named Twatter.
But so tell me a little bit about your cats, and you've got some other animals that you, if people don't follow Tracy, you're missing out because she's got some other animals that she is trained. So.
Yeah, I think they trained me.
Right.
Yeah, so I have 3 cats. One is Alvin, and he is like the rock star because everybody who comes in my house is like, oh my God, he's 25 pounds. He's a big fat cat,
right,
but he is an attention whore to the end.
Right.
And he's everybody's best friend. He was actually a stray cat that I picked up when I lived in LA. He kind of chose me, and I told him, no, I already have a cat. You can't live here. It took me about a day and a half, and then I was like, okay. Yeah.
That sounds familiar because we have 2 cats and then 3 strays.
Yeah.
At our house.
Yeah. When they choose you, you can't say no.
Right.
You just can't. So I have him, and then I have 2 girls that are half Bengals. One is Jet, one is Joplin. I think we all know who they're named after.
Exactly.
And then the real highlight here is Shirley the squirrel.
Right.
So about a year ago, I noticed this black squirrel out in my yard and had raw nipples. So I said, oh, she must be a mom. So I started throwing peanuts out to her. Well, one day I had the door open for the cats to go on the patio, and I was washing dishes, and when I finished, I turned around. This black squirrel is standing in my kitchen. Scared the shit out of me. I was like, what are you doing? You can't be in my house. And she was basically like, yo, give me some peanuts.
You started this.
Yeah. So I gave her some peanuts, and then she left, and then when she finished those, she came back in. So now, Big Alvin, he's older, so he has some stairs that he uses to get up onto the couch, and next to that is my coffee table. So I just put a pile of nuts on the coffee table, open the door a little bit, and she just comes in and gets her nuts and then leaves. And then she, I guess, got a boyfriend because he started coming in. And you can tell the difference because male squirrels have huge nuts. They really do. Right. Nobody believes me until they notice.
Right.
I'm like, just take a peek. Huge. TMI, right?
Right.
So that's her boyfriend, Sammy the squirrel.
Right.
And I think they had some more kids. Now I have just about, I don't even know how many squirrels in my backyard, but only the black ones come into the house. And then all the gray ones just kind of stand at the door and wait. And so I have at least 20. I have 3 chipmunks and a slew of blue jays that come and they eat the peanuts. And I need a second job
just to support
pay
the animals.
to support the animals.
Maybe you need a raise.
I know, I need a raise. Yeah, Shirley, she needs her peanuts.
So moving on through your personal life, like I said, I've known you for a while, and off microphone we talked about your health. Some health scare that you had, and if you want to talk about that, I remember vividly because I was there, when you were kind of going through a lot of that stuff. So
and you came to the hospital.
I did come to the hospital.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I had a pap smear, and I found out that I had cervical cancer, and that shocked me to no end. Anybody who hears the words, "Hey, you have cancer," lucky for me, it was a very slow-moving cancer, and it was caught right at the beginning stage. So I always thought, because I'm like terrified of needles, hospitals, doctors, and all that, I thought I would just get a pass throughout my whole life to never have to be in the hospital.
Right.
So I think the fact that I had to be in the hospital scared me more than they told me that I had cancer. But it ended up being about as quick and easy as it could possibly be, which helped me get over my fears big time. Here's one of the benefits of being a hairdresser is connecting with people again, right? So one of my clients happens to be a top plastic surgeon in the area, and she's a woman. So when I got diagnosed with that, for some reason I felt the need to call her and tell her and kind of get her opinion. And she told me that the lady who found the cancer immediately wanted to give me a hysterectomy, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not even 40 years old yet.
Right.
What is that? That was shocking. There was a whole bunch that shocked me that day. So I called her and she said, that seems aggressive. I want you to see this other doctor. And turns out he's a top doctor, and his profession is gynecology oncology down at Sibley Hospital. And he did not want to be so aggressive, and he told me, hey, listen, what you don't want to do the hysterectomy. You want to do this other surgery first. Turns out the reason he wanted to do that surgery first is because in that type of surgery you test and you find out if the cancer is invasive. And if it's invasive, you need to take out more than what she had planned. She wanted to do a partial hysterectomy. So I would have had to, if it was invasive, I would have had, I would have had to, well, I don't think that when she did that they test for that.
Right.
So he did that, and he got clean margins, and I've been fine ever since. I've had to have a couple biopsies and a few abnormal stuff like that, but it really clued me into, you really have to be your own advocate, because one wrong move. A couple years ago, I was on Facebook, and I saw that this girl that I knew, who I used to hang out with, had died. She was about 4 years younger than me. It turns out she had cervical cancer. They gave her the partial hysterectomy, and they told her she was fine. And a year later, she has invasive cancer that went throughout her whole body. She died. 4 years younger than me. Right. And that was like 3 days before I went for another checkup. So that caused me extreme panic and anxiety.
Right.
But, you believe the doctor. You trust the doctor. And they're not always right.
That's like my wife says. That's why they call it practicing medicine.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten it down yet.
Yeah.
But being your own advocate and getting that second opinion and knowing people.
Knowing the right people.
Right. Put you in the right direction.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how many hookups I've gotten in this world from just my clients.
Right. And I know that, you've had clean bill of health ever since.
Yeah.
And I think the last time you put on there is that you'd go in for your checkup, it was clean. And I think I posted that you kicked cancer in the crotch, literally.
Right in the vag.
That's right. So
yeah.
we're happy that went well. And I know
Heck yeah.
I know that's when I met your mom, actually. It was when you were at Sibley Hospital for your initial surgery.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that, your mom's like, well, why don't you go back? I said, well, it's your daughter. Why don't you go back first, and then I'll go back. And you were still a little loopy, and it was like, hey, you might want to pull the sheet up. You don't have anything on up top. Pull the sheet up a little bit. But
yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
I remember the lady woke me up and when you get told you have cancer, you don't sleep very well. And so they give you that stuff to knock you out for the surgery, right? You are getting the best sleep of your life. And the lady was like waking me up. She's like, time to get up, Tracy. I was like, and I just remember going, shh, sleeping. She was like, no, you have to get up. I was like, shh, sleeping. Shh. And I was so mad that she woke me up because I'd finally got to sleep.
Right.
But in hindsight, it's all pretty funny.
Right.
And I'm pretty lucky.
At the time, it was pretty scary.
At the time, I was scared to death.
Right.
Scared to death.
But you had good friends, and you had good clients that had known a lot of good doctors, which is being in the Washington metropolitan area, some of the top doctors in the world.
Yeah.
And luckily, the Sibley Hospital is literally a stone's throw from where you live, so you didn't have to travel too far to get the great treatment.
No.
So,
and I had a lot of support.
Indeed, and you're still here today.
Woo-hoo.
So, if anything, people, ladies that are listening out there, please get your checkups, breast exams, pap smears every year. Get that done, because cervical cancer is one of those cancers like pancreatic cancer. Once you find out that something's wrong, it's late. It's too late. Once you feel the pain, it's usually too late. So get those screenings.
Get them.
So to get off of this bummer type of conversation here, you lived in L.A., and this is where I want to transition into some of the really cool stuff that I didn't know about you until probably 6 months after I met you, of some of the connections that you have. And this is how I found out that we were on the same path of music, and not too many people in the fire service were on the same path of music that I like. And the guys that know me know I listen to my music all morning long while I'm doing my stuff, and we kind of traveled in the same circles of music, not the same circles of people. So tell me about some of the characters, some of the people, and some of them are famous that friendly wise, that you cut hair for, and some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, so we probably were at the same shows a lot. I had a fake ID since I was 15. I'll never forget, one of them said I was like a 39-year-old bus driver. The doorman at Hammerjacks did not care.
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
Yeah, he was like,
he doesn't get paid enough to give a crap.
He could care less. And I was like, thanks, buddy. So at Hammerjacks, there were always
right before they made it big, these musicians always came to Hammerjacks, which was cool because you get close to them.
Yeah, but even after they made it big,
they came back.
Like I remember Kiss played there, and Poison played there after they were huge, and Extreme, yeah.
Kicks, obviously that's their home turf.
Oh yeah.
And Danger, I saw there. And like I said, we probably traveled in the same circle. I saw Guar there. I don't know if you ever saw Guar. They were the shit.
I saw Guar at Ram's Head in Baltimore.
Right.
And that's when I found out.
Not my kind of music, but the theatrics was pretty... It was worth the ticket.
I found out then that even men get cellulite on their ass.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
with
wow.
all the costumes that they wear.
I didn't. The hair covered a lot of it, but you could still see the
cover
cheese.
The bottom part. That's right. So Hammerjacks is one of the places that we came. So and then I know you have some friends, personal friends, as well as musicians that are personal friends.
So I would just go to concerts a lot because I was a music appreciationist like you are. And somehow or another, the guys in the band always came over to talk to me. And, usually just to try and get my pants. But when they found out that wasn't happening, they actually thought, hey, this chick's pretty funny. So
what else do you do besides not letting me score?
Yeah. I'm pretty upfront on that level. I'm just like, look.
I'm not sleeping with you.
Yeah, it ain't happening, homie. You make that pretty clear right up front. But then, of course, they think that they can change your mind.
Sure, because they're men.
Yeah.
Because we're men.
Yeah. Women do it to men,
right.
too. But, yeah, so they find out, that's not the case. But they actually enjoy the conversation with me. So, a lot of people, they would do anything to meet famous people. And for some reason, for me, it's very easy. Mm-hmm. They just, they kind of come over to me. Something about that, I guess maybe I make them feel safe because I'm not like, oh my gosh.
You're like, dude, I don't care who you are, what circle you're just a human.
Exactly. Like, if you're cool, we're cool. If you're a dick, then challenge accepted. I can out-dick you. And I think they love that. And so when I was 24, I met the guitar player for Cinderella. Mm-hmm. I met the whole band, but the guitar player asked me, he said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a hairdresser. He said, oh my God, I need my hair done. Will you do it? And I said, yeah, sure. So I did his hair, and when I finished, he says, holy shit, you're good. I said, shit, yeah, duh. So he lived in Philly at the time, and we just ended up becoming good friends. And so he would come down, and I would do his hair. And then when they would go on tour, he started flying me out, and then I started doing the whole band's hair, Cinderella. And then whatever band was on tour with them, they say, oh, wow, you're good. Will you do my hair? So that kind of steamrolled into this whole lifestyle of going on tour with rock bands and just having a blast. And, we're all still great friends. And I remember I was on the bus with CeCe DeVille of Poison. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him and I said, when I was 13 years old, staying up late watching Headbangers Ball just so I could see you guys. Yeah, I said, when I was 13 years old, if I had any idea that one day, like, you and I would be friends, that I would know all these people that I just thought were the greatest things when I was a little kid, that we would have each other's phone numbers, that you guys would actually pay me to hang out with you and stuff like that. I was like, I don't think I would have made it till 14. And he said, yeah, but now that you know us, you couldn't care less, right? You don't give a shit. And I was like, well, no. But the point is, right, when I was a little kid, you guys were like gods to me.
Sure.
And, it's rare that you get to meet your childhood, the people that you just worshipped in the limelight when you're a little kid. And now I know all of them. And we're all great friends and still stay in contact, whether they tour or not anymore. Right. Go visit. I've had a lot of them as guests at my house. They all love my cat, Alvin. And all want to meet Shirley, the squirrel.
Right. I know that the guitar player from Cinderella, Jeff, was the only rock star that I ever got to sit down and talk to, because it was one of those. My phone rings and you're like, hey. I'm like, what's up? So, are you working? I said, yeah. And he said, come on to the shop. I need you to meet somebody. And it's like 9 o'clock at night. So I go over there, I walk in. I think the first thing I said, I looked at him and said, I know you. And I think I ended up with the whole, I saw you guys at the Capitol Center back when it was around. And it was Cinderella, Warrant, and Bullet Boys. No, Cinderella, Winger, and Bullet Boys. And I said, I was like second row center watching you guys play. I said, do you remember me? And he looked at me like, who the fuck is this guy? I said, I'm just messing with you, man. But really cool, down-to-earth guy. The only rock star I ever got to meet, and I was doing my best not to be like, like the little blushing teenage girl. Like, but really cool, down-to-earth guy. And I remember him, I specifically remember him saying, like, hey, I'll be back in a minute. I want to go get a pack of cigarettes. And he, like, left the store and walked up the street to the Shell station. And I'm thinking, if this was 1988, he wouldn't be able to do that,
Oh, yeah.
But and I follow you on Instagram. We're friends on Instagram. We're friends on Facebook. So I see all the people that are on there, and I know when you lived in LA, I know you were really good friends with Faster Pussycat.
Yeah,
and,
they were my neighbors.
I know that. I remember specifically, I called you one day because I was watching the Discovery Channel, and there was a show on there, and the guy was wearing a Faster Pussycat baseball cap.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I called and I'm like, hey, I said, hey, there's a show on there, and this guy's constantly wearing a Faster Pussycat hat. I said, do you think you can ask Tammy Down, does he know this guy? And I think within 15 minutes, you sent me a picture back. You mean this guy? And there's a picture of Tammy with this guy in his living room during Christmas.
Yeah.
So obviously they were good friends. So I thought
Yeah.
that was really kind of neat that I was like, if he doesn't know who him, this guy's promoting their band, you know? So obviously he was friends with him. But I know you've known the guys from Faster Pussycat forever.
Yeah.
And you've got to meet a lot of people. And I know a couple, like you did the M3 Festival. I think it used to be called like the Monsters of Rock at Merriweather.
No, it's M3.
Was
It's
it always
been
M3?
M3, yeah.
And I know you've always invited me, hey, you want to come on out? Because I would always say, I will hold your haircut bag and be your little bitch boy. Come. But it never worked out because I was always working. But I know you said you just got back from the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah.
And
that was a good time.
I saw a lot of, because I follow a lot of these bands that are still doing it from the I don't like to call them hair band, but from the 80s rock metal genre. I'm still following those guys, and I saw that they were actually there, that you were there, and I think this was the first time you got to go. You invited me a few years back, but you didn't get to go, and I couldn't go. But so what was that like? Well, tell that story, because you told me before we started recording how that all turned out and what ended up happening.
Yeah. So all the people that kind of are in charge of that cruise, there's one particular guy. He was the tour manager for Cinderella forever. He also was tour manager for Poison, tour manager for Saliva for a little while. You know, he's been in the business for a long time. Mm-hmm. So he had this idea to do these cruises, and they do a few of them. They're doing, in October, they're doing the Mega Cruise, which is Megadeth, Anthrax, Testament, all of these like really harsh heavy metal bands. But this particular Monsters of Rock cruise, my friend, she did wardrobe for everybody, for starting with Cinderella. And actually, I met Aerosmith through her, which kind of, I was on the stage, and I turned around, and Joan Jett is standing behind me. I mean, I think I had like 15 anxiety attacks.
Right.
Because nobody's in front of me except for Steven Tyler.
Who for some trivia things, she's local to Maryland.
Yeah, I live here.
Grew up in Wheaton-ish area.
Oh, Joan Jett.
Yeah.
So where was I? Oh, so this guy, so she did wardrobe. So she called me and said, hey, why don't you come on the Monsters of Rock cruise? You'll be my +1. And I said, okay, why not? So she said, well, I'm going to, do you want to do hair? We can set up a whole list, and you can give me prices and stuff like that. And I was a little bit bummed about that, but I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take anybody's money. I don't care.
Right.
So then the guy who put the cruise on calls me and says, really? You want to work? I thought you just wanted to come have fun. And I said, well, yeah, I wanted to, but, I was told bring my stuff. And he said, you know what? Don't bring your stuff. Just come and have fun. Just enjoy the cruise for once. And I was like, you mean I get to come and not do anything? He said, yeah. I was like, wow, this is a first. So the girl wanted a haircut still. So she ordered a cheap pair of scissors from Amazon. And she was like, you can just cut my ends. I said, yeah, I got you. No big deal. She has like 4 hairs. Took me less than 5 minutes, and I was taking my time.
Charge her $150, right?
Well, she was like, what do I owe you? I said, she's like, let me at least tip you. I said, I'm getting a free cruise that's very expensive.
Right.
Pretty sure that's payment enough. We're cool.
Right.
So I was standing in the production office, and it's rock star after rock star after rock star coming in there, and they tell the guy, Eddie Trunk is the host, and he had his whole crew, the 3 guys from that metal show,
Jim Florentine and Jameson.
Yes.
Don Jameson.
Yes. I met them all, but
kind of watch that show a lot. I wish it was still in the air. Hint. Although he's got a new show coming on Axiom, but anyway.
Yeah, Axis is.
Yeah.
So I'm standing in there, and they tell the guy who runs the whole thing, says, "Hey, Eddie Trunk wants to do an on-camera interview with you." And he looked at me with panic and fear in his eyes and said, "Oh my God, you're going to have to do some hair." And I said, I got you. And it was just ironic that he was the one who told me not to do any hair, just to come on and have some fun.
Right.
And then he was like, he hates being on camera. So I hooked him up. I
Right.
did his hair, and it was fun. But it was, at first when I got on the boat, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I can't believe, this is one of the benefits of
Right.
having the clientele that I have.
And knowing people.
I get to do a lot of really cool things. I get to travel a lot of really cool places, and I don't have to pay for it. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I get to do a lot of stuff that most people would give their left nut for.
Right.
And I just get to do it. It just gets handed to me. Which I am grateful for.
Sure.
And believe me, I'm not cocky about that.
You worked hard for it.
Yeah. So I get on this cruise ship and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what I did right in my life, but this is awesome. And then we start to set off and take sail, and I look around, and then I start to kind of like, oh God, what did I sign up for? This is kind of terrible when I'm looking around at the people on the boat.
Right.
Because you see this terrible hair from the 80s and you think, I've tried to reenact that for Halloween and stuff, and I cannot get my hair to look the way that I did in the 80s, but
Right.
these people have it down pat, which means they never stopped.
Right.
And so for me, being in the beauty industry, it's kind of it was a nightmare. But once I got over that and started interacting with people, it was a blast. I mean, I was just standing there, and I turn around, and there's the drummer for Def Leppard just hanging out with me.
Right.
And I was like, dude, he was on the boat because he actually is a painter.
Right.
He does phenomenal work. And I said, oh my gosh, I saw your paintings. I had no idea. You do great work. And he said, well, thanks. It keeps me off the corner. I go, funny, that's where I go when I need an extra buck. And, of course, we took a selfie. And I sent it to my sister because they had just played in Hawaii, and she went to the show.
Did she go, you bitch?
She was like, it's so funny because she's gotten, it's been a long time, but, she'd experienced a little bit of, coming to shows, but she still lives in Hawaii, and
Right.
I live here, so it's hard to get her in.
Right.
But, so yeah, you're just, the great thing about that cruise is that there's no limits. Like, you can just go to the pool and then be laying in the chair next to the person that you idolize.
Right.
And, these artists go on there knowing that they're interacting with all of the crowd because there's no boundaries there. So it's a really cool experience for fans. And you get to see people who are like, train wrecks. Not to throw anybody under the bus, but the singer for London Choir Boys, he's hammered the whole time.
Right.
And then you get to find out that some people that look like they'd be an asshole are actually really cool people. I started to tell you, but I didn't tell you off the microphone. You said you love Tesla. Mm-hmm. So the last night of the cruise, there was an artist party where that was closed off for about 3 hours, where just the artists, appreciation, and everybody gets to interact, and I got to be a part of that. And then after that, they opened the gates and let the fans come in and participate too, and they did karaoke. There's karaoke every night. And the place is jam-packed, and all of a sudden Tesla comes on the radio. Within 1 minute, less than 1 minute of their song coming on, the singer jumps up onto the tables in front of everybody and starts singing along
With his own song.
of his own song, and the crowd went nuts. But it's fun stuff like that. Like, people just, you get to be silly, and it was really cool. I made friends with the drummer for Extreme, who I'd not met before, and now we're pals, and so that was fun. It was a really fun cruise, and I will do that again.
Yeah,
sure.
I got to see Tesla. I mean, I've watched these guys from their very first album, listened to them, and I finally got to go actually see them live in Baltimore last year. And we were walking in as they were just getting ready to go on, and as we're coming through, we're getting a beer, and we go as we're getting ready to go sit down, and I'm listening to it, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. They're playing Tesla over the loudspeakers before the band comes on. I mean, what if that's the song they're going to play, And I go out there, and that's them playing.
Yeah.
And the fact that, Jeff Keith, they sound like their album.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is hard to do.
Oh my God, it's like identical. And I follow those guys on Instagram, and Brian Wheat comes on all the time, and he's doing live stuff all the time where you can throw questions at him. And being the fanboy, I threw a question at him real quick, and I said, "Hey, really love the new album, Shock," and I listened to it like I was a kid, front to back. Listen to it. It's on my Spotify, and I said, I really appreciate you going back to the way it used to be. The album sound is phenomenal. And he's like, "Hey man, thanks a lot." He was on the air saying, "Hey, thanks a lot for telling us the album's good." And I'm like, he just acknowledged me.
I matter.
But yeah, just hearing those guys, and they were playing with Poison, who I've seen a handful of times, and Def Leppard was the first time I saw them. And I know the guys from Def Leppard are older, but Joe Elliott still sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't hit high notes like he used to, but he sounds really good. Just being able to go back and listening to those bands that I grew up at, the MTV era and the Headbangers Ball, and being able to hear them play the music is really good. And one of the things that I want to go on one of my little tangents is I've been a subscriber to XM Radio forever, and because I hate commercials, and I listen to Hair Nation all the time. And what pisses me off is that all these bands that are out there from the 80s have all this new music out there, if it still sounds like the stuff from the 80s, and they won't play it. It pisses me off, and there's no place you can go to listen to it other than download the stuff off of Spotify and what else. So if anybody from XM is listening, put a station out there. If it's it could be Hair Nation Now or Hair Nation Present or whatever, to play these guys, because the music that they're doing, the new stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my soapbox, and I'll get off it. But I think it's really cool. I like watching all the stuff that every time you post a new picture, you post a lot of pictures of the haircuts that you do, and I'm not going to give your spot your Instagram name, because I don't want you to be inundated with people following you. But the pictures that you post up, I look at all the stuff and see all the hairdos that you do, and you're doing really well. And then all the rock stars that you get to hang out with, and I'm looking at, oh my God, that's so-and-so, oh my God, that's so-and-so. Or I was like, hey, who was that was in that picture? Oh, those are those guys. And you know right away that it's a rock star you're hanging out with, and not just some schmo. You can just kind of tell.
Yeah.
But so what... And to wrap this up a little bit, I know when my wife had long hair, we're going to talk a little bit about charity stuff. Mm-hmm. She used to have really long hair, and she would get it cut, and she would do wigs for kids and things like that. Do you participate in anything like that? Does your salon do any type of charity or do stuff charity-wise for any organization, or do you personally?
We don't do anything like that, but we always do fundraisers and things like that. The salon that I was previously at, one of the girls would go out and cut hair for the homeless and stuff, and she started at a woman's shelter. Mm-hmm. So she had a lot of drives, and I would just go through my closet a couple times a year and just empty out a ton of stuff and give it to her, just to, give to these women that leave these horrible situations and try and start over. So I do a lot of stuff like that. I obviously give a lot to animal stuff because I love them. Mm-hmm. And we just did a food drive here at this salon now, just last week, for the children of Montgomery County who actually can't afford to eat.
Right.
On the weekends, and which is surprising because this is a very wealthy county.
It's extremely wealthy county.
Extremely wealthy county, and you still have a lot of people that just can't afford to make ends meet.
Right.
And that's unfortunate because we've all been hungry before, but I can afford to, when I get hangry, go get some food, right. And it's just,
at least some peanuts. At
least some peanuts. I'm sure he has to share.
That's right.
But so we do a lot of stuff like that. Basically, you guys, the firemen have a lot of fundraisers and stuff, and, every time you guys do Fill the Boot, I make sure to, donate money for that.
All the change out of your ashtray.
Yeah. No, I always give like at least 20 bucks. I know. But, so I don't really like start anything on my own, but we are definitely charitable people. I remember a couple of years ago, I said, boy, I'll tell you what, everybody keeps asking me for money for their charity. When's somebody going to donate to the Tracy Nauman Fund? Because I like to travel.
Right. If somebody were to come in, does like Wigs for Kids is still around, like that type of thing, right, where they donate their hair for cancer or kids with cancer and things like that? Is that still an organization?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do know that there are a lot out there. Even Pantene will take hair now. So basically what we do for that is, you pay for a haircut. We don't cut it off for free.
I got you.
Yeah, but we cut it off. We hand you the hair, and then it's your responsibility
to take care of it.
To send it to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Cindy's done that a couple of times where they cut the
she
hair and they
has.
have an envelope and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
And that's really a phenomenal thing for people to do because you're helping out somebody who...
Especially the kids.
Yeah. I mean, anything is devastating. Anybody having to go through something that traumatic and put those kind of chemicals in your body, any type of kindness is so welcomed. And I didn't know that until my experience, kindness is really the best thing that you can give people.
Pay it forward. Big
Yeah,
time.
because you never know. You never know.
So here's your opportunity. You can plug your new shop if you want to, or if you don't want to, that's fine too.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm sure your owners won't mind.
No.
Of the dozens and dozens of people that listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I'm at One Glance Salon in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and my one owner, Danielle Caldwell, she's phenomenally cool. She's tattooed from her neck to her toes. She is a phenomenal hairdresser. She goes to London and trains with Tony and Guy, which is huge. And I've done one-on-one training with Gerard Scarpassi, and we're all really talented here. And for me, not only do I want you to look great, but I want you to have a great time while you're here. So, we laugh.
Right.
We have a good time here. It's fun. It's fun to come get your hair done. It ain't cheap, but it's fun.
Right. Sometimes it costs a little bit to look good.
Yeah, and you'll feel great. And you'll look good for a good amount of time, too.
Awesome.
Stays with you.
Well, I appreciate you being on my show, and like I said, I've known you forever, and I think what you do is really cool.
Thank you.
You've given me a couple of haircuts in the past. I try never to take advantage of that, but it's like, sit down, I'm going to cut your hair. It looks like shit right now. But I appreciate how you approach your job and how passionate you are at your job. And, if more people were more passionate about their job and do the best that they can do at whatever job they're doing, whether it's your forever job or it's the job for here and now, if you put forth 100%, it's going to show. And it pays forward as you go. So, again, Tracy, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
All
it was fun.
Until next month, I have no idea what the show is going to be. When it comes to my head, I'll say, hey, I'm going to track that person down, and we'll talk about it. So until then, thanks a lot. If you got any questions, you can send emails or comment directly on Spotify or iTunes or from the Libsyn site. So other than that, thanks, guys. See you.